Mary had a little man.
We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Part of the infrastructure law, we're investing $7.5 billion to build electric vehicle charging stations all across America. So today, I'm pleased to announce we're approving funding for the first 35 states, including Michigan, to build their own electric charging infrastructure throughout their state. And y'all are going to be part of a network of 500,000 charging stations. 500,000 throughout the country, installed by the IBEW. Boy, I owe a special thanks to for the last election. Look, folks, the Great American Road Trip is going to be fully electrified. Whether you're driving coast to coast along I-10 or on I-75 here in Michigan. Charging stations will be up and easy to find as gas stations are now.
That's amazing. I find that very exciting. Swear to God, I do. I find that very exciting. So here you have a president who's actually delivering stuff, like deliverables, they're called. Yes, he's actually delivering on the deliverables. I mean, we're building, we have 53,000 miles of road in the nation's highway system. And here you have a president who sees it as being built. Yes, built for the 21st century. Built with electric charging stations. Today was an amazing announcement day. Today, Joe Biden was at the North American International Auto Show in Detroit, and he delivered his remarks on electric vehicle manufacturing investments in the United States. Here's the crazy part. Since Biden took office, companies like Toyota and Honda and Ford and General Motors have announced investments of nearly $85 billion to make electric vehicles, batteries, and EV chargers across America, including in North Carolina, Michigan, Ohio, Missouri, and Kansas. Oh! Trump, lower taxes for the billionaire class. And we're going to build chargers across all 53,000 miles of the nation's highway system. I'm sorry. I find this very exciting. I really do. And at the same time, he's got his labor secretary. Anybody? Labor secretary? Or did you leave off at Robert Reich? His name's Marty Walsh. I'll help you out. Marty Walsh today is, negotiating as our Secretary of Labor with the railroad workers, with the freight workers, to avoid and avert a strike so that we don't have freight that's come to a screeching halt in the midst of a soft landing with regard to our inflation, here in the United States, which, by the way, is global. But ours is due for a soft landing because we have effective government in this here country. Now, while America is probably going to sleep hearing little boys' choirs singing God Save the Queen, and I had a nightmare that I fell in love with a beefeater. Do you know who they are? The guys in the big reds. Yeah, it was hellish. There's other things to celebrate, like the fact that Ken Starr is dead. Ken Starr died yesterday. Do you know that? Ken Starr died yesterday. For those of you who don't know, for all you very young people out there, and you don't know who Ken Starr was in the 90s a very noted pornographer. Yeah, well, back in the 90s, it wasn't possible to get your porn off of Pornhub. It wasn't possible for you to get your porn off of kink.com or the internet at all. And so you had to get your porn from dirty magazines and kinky prosecutors. And that's who Ken Starr was. He actually was the publisher of something called the Starr Report, which was porn from beginning to end, and it was like 400 pages. And it had to do with various sexual things that Bill Clinton engaged in with a young nubile intern who was only 24 years old back in the day named Monica Lewinsky. Yes, and Monica Lewinsky reacted with an enormous amount of class today, much more than I could ever muster, because Monica Lewinsky's life was turned into a living hell by one Ken Starr when he decided that he was going to look into a land deal, the Whitewater land deal that was entered into by Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton back in the day in Arkansas, I swear to God. And he started looking into this land deal and heard rumors from people, from operatives inside the Republican Party, that Bill Clinton was having extramarital affairs, lots of them. And that one was especially ripe for the picking, and that had to do with a intern who ended up working in the White House after they shut down the government. Yes, Newt Gingrich shut down the government. And so what you had were people who were working over at the Pentagon, like a Monica Lewinsky, who was an intern at the Pentagon, was actually transferred to the White House. And unbeknownst to her, she ended up in the White House, just steps away from Bill Clinton's office. And things were a little slow because the government was shut down, and they fell in love, is really what happened there. And Ken Starr couldn't resist. He couldn't resist. So when he couldn't find any wrongdoing in this land deal, okay, when he started persecuting people involved in this land deal, and got people, in the Sybil Brand Institute for Women maximum security prison for refusing to testify, he decided he would just switch gears and pursue a sexual peccadillo, that he would pursue a consensual affair that was engaged in by a 24-year-old girl and the president of the United States, who was, like the youngest president we had in a really stinking long time. And Monica Lewinsky reacted to the news of Ken Starr. I mean, I was like, woohoo, now he could be reunited with his conscience. She had so much grace and class. She said, it's a painful loss for those who love them. Now, the only person I could think of who loved Ken Starr would be Newt Gingrich. And he's not dead yet. I will save my celebratory remarks about Newt and his death for when I can use them. But I couldn't believe how much, grace she had. This guy, Ken Starr, he was probably on the fast track to being a Supreme Court nominee if it weren't for this porn novel he felt compelled to write at the conclusion of his investigation into Bill Clinton. Now, poor Monica Lewinsky, I mean, she was terrified because she lied to the FBI about whether or not she was having a consensual affair with Bill Clinton to protect Bill Clinton. And they were threatening her with, sending her to prison. Sending her to prison. Made her life a living hell as a 24-year-old girl who had fallen in love is really what happened there. And the way that they found out that she had lied about having an affair with Bill Clinton is because the Republican apparatchiks, the Linda Tripps of the world, the Lucianne Goldbergs of the world, whose son continues to thrive in Republican land, Jonah Goldberg, he continues to put pen to paper and opine about Republican politics going off the deep end with Trumpism, right? But his mother and Linda Tripp, who was Monica Lewinsky's dear friend who she met at work at the Pentagon, was actually recording Monica on the telephone as Monica was suffering through falling in love with a married president of the United States. And that's how they found out that Monica Lewinsky lied. So ding dong, Ken Starr is dead. Now, go follow his casket around. Go ahead. Go follow his casket. Just move it from continent to continent. Don't have time to listen to the live show? Want to hear more on your schedule? Go to randyrhodes.com and buy a stinking podcast.